The spaceport hummed with activity. Ships of all shapes and sizes came and went, their engines leaving trails of blue light that glimmered against the glass walls of the terminal. Humans and aliens walked side by side, exchanging greetings in different languages. Yet the loneliness of one particular alien stood out even amidst the crowd. He was taller than most, with smooth, pale skin that glimmered faintly under the overhead lights, and eyes that held both curiosity and sadness. He moved carefully, avoiding unnecessary attention, yet somehow his presence made people glance twice. He had not come to the spaceport to explore or trade. He was waiting for her. The human bride had been sent through a long process of arrangement, a mail-order bride service that connected distant planets and cultures. She had spent months preparing, learning alien etiquette and imagining the life that awaited her. Now, as her small transport shuttle docked and the doors opened, she stepped out cautiously. She felt the weight of her decision pressing on her shoulders. Every step was careful, every glance around the bustling port filled with unknown species, making her heart beat faster. The alien saw her from across the hall and felt an immediate pull toward her. He had studied her carefully from the communications they exchanged before her arrival, but seeing her in person was different. She was smaller than he imagined, fragile in some ways, yet there was a quiet strength in the way she stood, her eyes scanning the crowd without fear. He moved toward her, his long strides eating the distance between them. "You must be from Earth," he said, his voice soft, almost a whisper. It was an odd voice for such a tall creature, calm and gentle, carrying a strange musical quality. "Yes," she replied, her voice uncertain but polite. I'm here to meet you." She paused, glancing at his face, studying the smooth curves of his features, the unusual structure of his eyes that seemed to glow faintly. "I hope I can live here comfortably." "You will," he said firmly but not harshly. There was an honesty in his tone that surprised her. "This is your home now if you choose to stay." She nodded, but her hands twisted nervously in front of her. The noise of the port faded for a moment as she studied him, trying to understand him. "You are different," she said quietly. "From what I imagined," he smiled faintly. "I am aware of that. I am not human. But you will find my world is not as strange as it seems if you let it be." He gestured to the transport that would take them to his home. It hovered silently, doors opening automatically as they approached. She hesitated before stepping inside, then followed him, feeling a mixture of fear and curiosity. Inside the shuttle, the alien moved with grace, his long fingers brushing controls as though he understood the craft instinctively. She watched silently, noting the way light played across his skin, the subtle movements of muscles beneath smooth surfaces. "You do not have to be afraid," he said, sensing her nervousness. "You are safe. I know," she murmured. "But everything is so new, so different. That is why I say, tap me when I go too fast." The words were soft, almost secretive. She blinked, unsure what he meant. When you go too fast?" she asked. "Yes," he replied. "In my world I move and think quickly, sometimes too quickly for someone new. You only need to tap me, and I will slow. I will wait. You will not be hurt." It was an odd phrase, but there was a sense of care behind it. She nodded slowly, feeling a small relief in the promise. I will remember." The shuttle moved out of the spaceport and into the star-filled void outside. She looked out at the passing stars, bright and cold in their distant light, and felt a strange thrill. She had traveled far to reach this place, to leave her old life behind and to begin something entirely unknown. "Your home is not far," the alien said. His voice was calm, steady, yet she felt the underlying energy in it, an alertness that suggested he could act in an instant if danger came. She felt safe and exposed at the same time, a strange contradiction. The shuttle landed on a platform that hovered above a cliff of glass and metal, overlooking a vast city filled with lights, towers, and floating gardens. The alien guided her down a small ramp into his habitat. It was elegant, with soft lighting, floating furniture, and walls of translucent glass that showed alien landscapes beyond. Strange plants glowed faintly, and soft currents of air moved gently, almost as if the house itself were alive. She gasped quietly. "It's beautiful. It is my world," he said simply. "And it will be your world too, if you allow it. You may take your time to learn it, to understand it." She walked slowly through the rooms, touching the surfaces, marveling at the technology and the design. "It feels Alive, she said. Not cold or mechanical like I expected. That is the point, he said. Life is not only in humans. It is in all things. You will learn this in time. They reached a sitting area overlooking the city lights. He motioned for her to sit and he moved beside her, careful to give her space. She looked at him. Really looked, noting the faint lines on his face, the way his eyes reflected the distant lights of the city. She realized he was not only powerful and strange, but lonely, longing for connection just as she was. Why, did you choose me? She asked, her voice quiet. He looked at her, considering his words. Because I sensed you would understand. Because you are human, and humans see the world differently. They feel deeply, and I have not felt this way in a long time. She was silent for a moment, feeling the weight of his honesty. I hope I can understand you too, she said finally. You already do, he replied softly, his hand brushing lightly over hers, not touching, only almost, as if testing the boundary. She felt a shiver of awareness pass through her, not from fear but from the recognition of trust. They spent the evening exploring the habitat together. He showed her how the plants were cared for, how the lights adjusted to moods, and how the soft air currents could create gentle patterns of sound and light. She laughed quietly at the oddities of his world, and he laughed too, a low musical sound that made her feel included, accepted. As night fell outside, the alien and the human sat by a window watching the stars. The silence between them was comfortable, filled with understanding rather than words. Finally, he leaned slightly toward her and whispered, "Tap me when I go too fast." She smiled faintly, understanding the deeper meaning now. It was not just about movement or action. It was about pace, about life, about connection. She nodded softly. "I will." For a moment, they simply watched the stars, two beings from different worlds beginning to find a shared rhythm in their lives. The city below sparkled like distant jewels, and beyond it, the galaxy stretched infinitely, filled with possibilities. Somewhere in the quiet of the night, she felt a small warmth in her chest. She had come so far, left so much behind, yet she did not feel fear anymore. She felt anticipation. He watched her from the side, noting the subtle change in her expression. He had not expected to feel this protective, this attentive, but she had awoken something in him, a longing for companionship, for understanding, for trust. He realized that in this human, in her curiosity and courage, there was a spark that could light even the darkest corners of his long, lonely existence. And as the shuttle landed softly, the city lights reflecting in her eyes, she wondered silently if this strange, towering being could teach her more than just alien customs. Could he teach her about courage, about patience, about connection? The night deepened, the stars stretched endlessly, and the two sat together in quiet companionship, a promise lingering in the air that this beginning, strange as it was, could grow into something extraordinary, if both chose to move carefully and trust the rhythm of the other. The days passed slowly in the alien's home. The human bride woke to soft light filtering through translucent walls, casting patterns that seemed to move with the breeze. She was still adjusting to the rhythms of this world. Air that whispered, plants that glowed, and technology that moved as if it had a mind of its own. But she no longer felt overwhelmed. Instead, curiosity pushed her forward, a quiet excitement that made every new discovery a small adventure. The alien watched her carefully, noting the subtle changes in her movements and expressions. Each day she became more confident, more attuned to the strange environment. Yet he knew there were still moments when his speed, his intensity, could unsettle her. That was why he repeated the phrase often, almost like a mantra, "Tap me when I go too fast." They began their morning with a quiet ritual. The alien guided her to a floating garden in the center of the habitat, where luminous plants swayed in slow patterns. The air was fragrant with scents she could not name. Tiny orbs of light hovered around them, reacting to their presence, and the garden seemed to breathe with them. "You must learn to move with the world here, not against it," he said softly. "Everything has its pace. Everything has a rhythm. You too must find yours." "I try," she said, reaching out to touch a plant that glimmered beneath her fingers. It responded with a gentle glow as if acknowledging her touch. "I think I am learning." He nodded, but his eyes studied her carefully. There were moments when her hesitance made him slow, moments when her courage surprised him. He admired her curiosity, her willingness to explore despite fear. And he felt a growing sense of responsibility, not only to teach her but to protect her, to guide her, and to share his world without overwhelming her. Their time together was not without challenges. Differences in culture and habit created friction, small misunderstandings that could have grown into something larger. She stumbled over the alien language, misinterpreted customs, or hesitated when he expected action. But each time they returned to their code. A tap on his arm, a soft word, and he would pause, watch her carefully, and adjust. One morning, as they explored a floating market in the city below, the human bride experienced the full spectrum of alien life outside their home. Creatures of many shapes passed by, some hovering, some crawling, some walking with multiple limbs. The scents, sounds, and movements were overwhelming. She clutched his arm instinctively. "Tap me," he reminded her softly, sensing her tension. She hesitated, then tapped him gently. Instantly, he slowed his pace, stepped back, and allowed her to take in the scene at her own speed. She breathed deeply, watching a vendor sell glowing fruits that floated like lanterns and tiny mechanical animals scurry among the crowds. It's a lot," she admitted. "I don't know if I can keep up." "You do not need to keep up," he said. "You only need to be present. Learn at your own speed. Observe, understand, that is enough." Her eyes brightened. I can do that." Their bond deepened with each day. Small gestures, quiet conversations, and shared exploration created a rhythm between them. She began to anticipate his moods, the way he would move through space, the subtle signals of his thoughts. And he learned her limits, her fears, and the ways to comfort her without overwhelming. Yet their connection was tested when an unexpected visitor arrived. A diplomat from the alien faction that governed their sector appeared at the home. A tall figure with sharp features and piercing eyes. He regarded the human bride with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. "You are the human who has come to live with him?" the diplomat asked, voice sharp, almost challenging. "Yes," she replied, standing tall despite the tension. "I am here by choice. I wish to understand and live in his world." The diplomat studied her for a long moment, then turned to the alien. "You must know the risks. Others may not accept this arrangement. Your union is unusual. Some will see it as a challenge to our traditions." The alien's jaw tightened slightly, but his voice remained calm. "I am aware. She is here willingly. I will protect her and guide her. Nothing else matters." The diplomat gave a faint nod, but the warning hung in the air. Their presence reminded the human bride that their life together would not always be simple. There were outside forces, cultural expectations, and ancient rules that could threaten their bond. Later, as the diplomat departed, the alien and the human sat together in silence. She reached for his hand, unsure what to say. "Are you afraid?" she asked softly. "Of what?" he replied, studying her face. "That our life together might be difficult. That people might not accept me." He took a deep breath, brushing his thumb lightly over her hand. "I have faced difficulties before. I have faced fear, but I have not faced someone like you, and that changes everything. We will face whatever comes together. You have my word." She felt a warmth spread through her chest, a quiet reassurance. "I believe you," she said. Days later, they ventured outside the city into the alien landscapes beyond. The terrain was strange. Floating rocks, rivers of light, and forests of crystalline trees that chimed softly in the wind. She marveled at everything, her fear slowly giving way to awe. "Everything here is alive," she whispered. "Even the rocks and trees." "Yes," he said. "Life is not only in flesh and blood. It is in movement, in energy, and thought. You will see this more clearly in time." As they walked, they discovered a small cave glowing faintly with bioluminescent fungi. The alien paused, waiting for her reaction. "Do you want to explore?" he asked. She nodded, stepping carefully into the cave. It was cool, quiet, and filled with sparkling light. She felt a thrill of discovery and glanced at him with a smile. He watched her, feeling a deep sense of pride and care. "Tap me," he whispered, almost as if to himself. She nodded, touching his arm lightly, and he slowed, moving with her pace as they explored together. Inside the cave, she found a small relic embedded in the wall, a carving that seemed ancient, depicting creatures and humans together. She traced it with her fingers, fascinated. "Your world has history," she said softly. "Yes," he replied, "and so does yours. All life has stories to tell. That is why connection is important. To understand, we must share." Their exploration continued until night fell. They returned home, tired but exhilarated, their bond strengthened by shared experiences. The human bride realized that she was beginning to feel at home, not just in the alien's world, but in his presence. As they settled by the floating garden that evening, she looked at him carefully. I think I understand now. The code, the tap, it's more than just slowing you down. It's about trust, isn't it? He nodded, a faint smile crossing his face. Yes, trust, patience, understanding. Without these, nothing lasts. With them, even the most different worlds can find harmony. They sat together in silence, watching the city lights twinkle below. Somewhere deep in the alien's mind, a memory stirred. A scar from an old battle, a loss long buried. But he pushed it aside, focusing instead on the human beside him. She represented a new beginning, a chance to build something pure and lasting. She too felt a change within herself. She had arrived timid and uncertain, fearful of the unknown. Now she felt capable, curious, and ready to face whatever challenges might come. And she realized something important. In this alien's world, she had found not only wonder but a sense of belonging. Their evening ended with quiet conversation, laughter at small jokes, and the gentle ritual of sharing a meal made from alien ingredients, each flavor a new discovery. The human bride felt a strange satisfaction, a sense of completeness she had not known before. Before sleep, the alien whispered the phrase one more time, soft and tender. Tap me when I go too fast. She smiled, touching his arm lightly. I will, and I trust you. The night stretched on, filled with stars and distant lights, and the two lay together, not in intimacy of flesh, but in intimacy of understanding. Their bond was forming, fragile but strong, ready to face the uncertainties of the universe together. Outside, the galaxy turned silently, full of possibilities. The human bride knew she had chosen wisely, and the alien realized that in her, he had found something he had thought lost forever: companionship, trust, and hope. And deep inside both, a quiet anticipation stirred. They knew challenges would come, but they also knew they would face them side by side, learning, growing, and discovering the beauty of connection in a universe full of wonders. The galaxy outside stretched endlessly, stars glittering like scattered gems. The alien and his human companion had settled into a rhythm of life that balanced curiosity, exploration, and care. Yet the universe never remained still for long, and soon their bond would be tested in ways neither had expected. It began with a signal, a soft pulse, faint but persistent, coming from a distant sector of the planet. The alien paused as he monitored it, his glowing eyes narrowing. It is unusual, he murmured. Someone is reaching out intentionally. She leaned close, her eyes wide. Is it dangerous? Perhaps, he said carefully. We must prepare for anything. There are those who may see our connection as a threat. They may not accept it. The human bride's heart beat faster, but she did not waver. Then we face it together, she said quietly. Gripping his arm, he nodded, and for a moment, their shared resolve created a sense of calm, as if the universe itself recognized their bond. When they arrived at the source of the signal, they discovered a small group of alien emissaries waiting. Their leader, tall and imposing, regarded them with suspicion. Your union, it challenges tradition, the leader said. Some may not accept this. You must leave or face consequences. The alien stepped forward, towering yet controlled. She stays. Our bond is genuine and it will not be broken. We will face your judgment if necessary. The emissary studied him for a long moment. Very well. But know this, the galaxy is not forgiving to those who defy its rules. With a nod, the emissaries departed, leaving a tense silence behind. She looked up at him. We can handle this, right? He smiled faintly. Yes, but it will test more than courage. It will test patience, understanding, and trust. They returned home, aware that the galaxy outside their walls was filled with unseen challenges. That night, under the soft glow of the floating garden, they spoke quietly of the future. You have changed since you arrived, he said softly. You move with more confidence. You are not afraid of my world anymore. I am not, she replied. But I still worry. About you and about us. There are forces beyond us that could disrupt everything. He reached for her hand, holding it with care. Then we must be stronger. Not just for ourselves, but for the life we want to build. We must trust each other completely. The following days brought a series of tests. The alien guided her through simulations of environmental hazards, teaching her to anticipate danger and respond with calm focus. Floating platforms, shifting lights, and artificial storms challenged her coordination. Yet she learned quickly, aided by his quiet encouragement. "Tap me," he reminded her during one particularly difficult trial. She touched his arm lightly and he slowed, allowing her to navigate the shifting platforms safely. Her confidence grew, and she began to realize that their private code was more than a tool. It was a symbol of partnership, a rhythm of trust that bound them together. One evening, while exploring the city's upper sectors, they stumbled upon a group of alien scholars studying ancient relics. Among them, she noticed a small carving that resembled a part of her home planet. Curiosity sparked within her. "This looks like Earth," she whispered, tracing the pattern. "How did it get here?" The alien watched her closely. "History is longer and wider than any one planet. Our worlds have crossed paths before in ways most beings do not remember. That is why understanding is so important. Knowledge binds us." Their exploration was interrupted by a sudden alarm. The city's security systems detected an approaching threat, an unknown fleet moving fast, scanning for intruders. The alien's eyes glowed as he assessed the danger. "They are coming," he said calmly but firmly. "We must act quickly." Panic fluttered in her chest, but she remembered their lessons, their shared code. "Tap me," she said softly, reaching for his arm. He slowed instantly, adjusting his movements to her pace. "Good. Trust. That is all we need." Together they moved through the city, navigating corridors and sky bridges, coordinating silently. The alien's experience and her newfound confidence created a balance neither could achieve alone. They were a team, moving as one, each aware of the other's strengths and limits. When they reached the city's outer edge, they discovered the fleet was not hostile in intent. It was searching for a relic, one that had been hidden on the planet for centuries. The alien understood immediately. This was tied to a history long buried, a past he had hoped would never resurface. "This relic is dangerous in the wrong hands," he said, urgency in his voice. "We must protect it." She nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "Then we will protect it, together." They approached a hidden chamber, the walls glowing faintly with inscriptions from an ancient civilization. The alien moved swiftly, deciphering the markings while she assisted him, reading patterns and matching symbols. Their combined efforts revealed the location of the relic, a small crystalline device pulsing with energy. As they secured it, the fleet's ships appeared above, scanning and searching. The alien activated a protective field around the chamber, shimmering light forming a barrier. "We must remain calm," he said. "Panicking will do no good." She touched his arm, grounding herself. "I trust you," she said. The alien nodded, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they shared. They worked together, moving in perfect synchrony, anticipating each other's actions. The fleet, unable to penetrate the barrier, eventually moved on, leaving them in quiet triumph. When the danger passed, they returned to their home, exhausted but exhilarated. She realized with a deep sense of awe how much she had grown. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and challenge, and she had done so beside someone she trusted completely. The alien watched her with quiet pride. "You have done well," he said softly. "You have learned not just my world, but how to trust yourself and trust me." "I couldn't have done it without you," she replied. I am beginning to understand why you brought me here. Not just to teach me, but to share life and trust and courage." He reached for her hand, their fingers intertwining naturally. Yes, that is what connection means. Not simply presence, but shared understanding, respect, care. You have proven yourself capable of that. As the night deepened, they sat together in the floating garden, the city lights below twinkling softly. The human bride leaned against him, feeling a sense of belonging she had never known before. The alien's presence was steady, grounding, and full of care. "I never thought I would find this," she said quietly. "A place where I feel safe, understood, and valued." "You have," he replied, "because you chose to trust, and because you chose to be here fully with me. That is how bonds are forged, through choice, patience, and care." The stars stretched endlessly above them, and for the first time, she felt truly part of a world that had once seemed alien and overwhelming. She had crossed galaxies, faced fears, and discovered courage within herself. And in doing so, she had found a companion who would walk beside her through whatever challenges lay ahead. Days later, as they looked out over the city and beyond to the stars, A quiet message reached them, a signal from another distant planet, faint but filled with possibility. It hinted at further adventures, new connections, and the promise of a universe still full of mysteries waiting to be discovered. She looked at him, her eyes shining. "Do you think we are ready for whatever comes next?" He smiled softly, brushing his fingers lightly over hers. "We are ready, because we have learned to move together, to trust, to protect and care for each other. Whatever comes, we face it as one." And so, under the vast expanse of stars, the human bride and the alien companion sat side by side. Their journey was far from over, but they were no longer afraid. They had discovered the power of trust, patience, and shared understanding. In a universe of endless possibilities, they had found each other, and in doing so, they had discovered something far greater than distance, difference, or danger, a bond that could withstand any trial. The night was quiet, the stars shining, and for a moment everything seemed perfect. They had faced the unknown, survived the challenges, and emerged stronger together, and somewhere deep in the cosmos countless worlds waited, hinting at adventures yet to come, filled with wonder, trust, and the promise of connection across the stars.